Our next speaker is a very good and close friend of mine, so it's always amusing to stand on stage and call a good friend on stage and then talk about how amazing they are. So I do it with great pleasure to invite Guy Wertheim. Guy loves networks. Guy loves complicated networks, especially. And he has a vision. He comes from a company called Comilion, which was founded by himself and another very good friend of mine, Kobe Friedman. And today he's going to talk to us about collaborative security, which is yet another layer in the solutions that we as an industry are trying to bring in to solve all these problems that I was talking about before. So Guy, if you're set up, the stage is yours.
Kids, a minute before the cry, right? Okay, so I'll talk about the impact of collaboration, but more than that, I'll talk about why do we need collaboration and how we can do it. What are the challenges that we need to overcome in order to do so? So we all know about the skill gap, right? There are not enough security analysts in the world to overcome the challenges that we are facing. So what can we do? Okay, so we can try to look harder, right? Try to look harder for security analysts for a company. In Israel, we know where they are. They're actually in the startups. But if we truly want to solve this problem, let's see what we are currently doing today in order to mitigate it. So one approach is to make the appliance smarter and smarter, using anomalies and the artificial intelligence and all those approaches. But there is a limit to the complexity that a computer, that an algorithm can be. And we know for sure that an algorithm, when we approve it, the hacker approves his and vice versa, and again, and we're ending up in the same situation. Another approach is to allow different appliances to communicate with each other, right? There are good examples for it. For example, VirusTotal. VirusTotal connects different antiviruses together. So if one antivirus has found a virus, the others are aware of it. And for doing so, you need to assume that all appliances are just the same, right? But it's not like that. There are many different appliances, like many different robots, and they are different, and they communicate differently, and they see different things. So it's not easily, they are not easily communicating with each other. For mitigating that, for trying to overcome this challenge of communication, the cyber ecosystem has created all kinds of different patterns and communication protocols. This is Sticks, for example. The idea was to communicate different appliances together in order to make a richer insight for the ecosystem. This is an example of the Sticks object for APT1 that I'm sure most of us are aware of. If you will look inside the actual object, you will see that the insight is written in unstructured data, in unstructured format. That means that a machine cannot create it and a machine cannot consume it. It doesn't cut it. It doesn't make the requirements that we've created it for. And the third approach is automation, right? Building all kinds of scripts in order to communicate in a more clever way between different appliances, in order to make flows to mitigate different adversary and breaches. But these are good for last year and yesterday's adversaries. They are not good for tomorrow's because they are not changing quick enough. They do not contain insights. So how can we create insight? Well, we started talking about the analysts, right? We cannot increase their number. We can increase their capabilities. We can empower the analyst. And as an example of empowering analysts, I will take Iron Man, right? Iron Man is just a normal guy. He's not truly a superhero, but if you put it inside a suit, he becomes a superhero. Okay, so this is good for movies and sci-fis and all of that. What is going on in real life? Pilots are just the same. Pilots are normal guys. They don't have wings. They don't have engines. They don't have missiles. When you put them into a plane, which is very dedicatedly designed for them, they become superheroes, right? So we should take an approach of a superhero, like pilots, for example. Let's see how a case should be handled in the superhero world. Let's say that we have a spear phishing attack on our company. Okay, an intelligent guy has found out about a few leads. He will put it into this ecosystem. All kinds of automatic things will happen, extraction of indicators and so. Maybe connecting to different appliances in his organization of knowledge bases, not necessarily security appliances, but general appliances of knowledge. Those indicators will automatically be inserted and injected into his security appliances for continuous monitoring. And when there's going to be a breach, everyone in the organization will be notified upon it. For example, those logs as well, but also the guys that are in charge of mitigating this adversary, this attack. Such ecosystem of collaboration will be able to come together, the different guys, the different analysts that are working on the same breach, the one that are in charge of the intel, the one in charge of the actual mitigation and so on. And by that, allowing them to actually better investigate and communicate and collaborate to mitigate this attack. What are the challenges that we need to face in order to create such an ecosystem? There are so many different appliances. There are not many antiviruses, many firewalls. There are so many different types of appliances. Splunk, for example, is a database, right? You query and you research upon it. VirusTotal is a different database outside of your organization. You need to even consider about billing when you're doing so. Tanium is something that you can query in order to get information, while Palo Alto, a firewall, you need to inject information in order to keep monitoring after a week, 2 weeks, etc. The modus operandi of our appliances that we are facing when us as an analysts are doing our work is much different from one another. And we need to have a flexible machinery, a flexible ecosystem to access all those different modus operandi. If you're accessing all those appliances, you're going to have a massive amount of data. So big data is a crucial part of it. And also human-machine interface. We are used to black terminals, right? It's so sexy to use it, and that our guy next door does not understand what we are doing, but we need to have a better interfaces. We need to have all of this data organized in a much better way in order to actually do our work, not because it's more sexy or more nice, because it's more efficient to do our work in such manner. And just like Iron Man had Jarvis, we need our secret sauce and black magic and all, and those ecosystems are a great place to put those secret sauce inside. These are the challenges in the internal use case. What about the external use case? When I'm trying to collaborate not with my appliances and my team members, but also with peers outside of my company. Okay, data protection, encryption, we all know about it. But data protection is not only about making sure that the data that I'm sharing will end up only to my peers, but what's going on in the middle. And when it gets to my peers and my friends, will I be able to still own the data? What about data ownership? If I'm sharing something, if I'm a US entity, for example, and I got information from the FBI and I want to share it with my friends, can I make sure that it will not leak outside of the US? So collaboration in the external use case is much more difficult. Identity versus anonymity. Can I share information outside of my organization in an anonymous fashion? How can I protect myself from the vendor if I'm in a closed environment so nothing leaks out? But if I'm collaborating with my peers, how can I know that this information will only leak or will only get to my designated peers but not to my vendor? And we all know why TrustRecon was founded one time, right? Because of the RSA incident. And more and more and more and more. The idea behind all of this is, and a small note, this is what we are doing, is not creating a super robot army, but creating an army or a designated team of super Iron Men, each with different skills, each with different appliances, in a flexible ecosystem where the unpredictable adversary in breach will be facing a flexible ecosystem. Thank you.